Good morning, everyone. I hope you're all having a warm morning, seeing as the weather is so cold in Nairobi today. For those outside Nairobi, I hope you're well. Janet, are you on the call?
Yes, I am.
Great. Let's begin. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a bonus module of our financial literacy training that we've been conducting for the past few weeks. I know a lot of you were wondering why we kept quiet for a while, but we wanted to conduct, our digital team asked to conduct this team just to get to understand your needs as they develop products that will best suit you. Yeah. And on call right now, I have Janet Daly from our digital and innovations team. That Janet heads the partnerships sector of the digital team. You can see her on screen, as beautiful as she is. And she'll be joined by Kelvin Joka, who's also the head of the digital and innovations team. Hi, Kelvin. Karibu sana. Janet, take it away.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming through. Actually, in this case, it's gentlemen first. So I'll have Kelvin come through and start the session for our benefit.
Great, thank you, Janet. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you for having me. Ms. Kelvin Joka, as introduced by Michelle. I handle the product management function of the bank, as well as product strategy, knowledge that we have in the areas of digital payments, and see how best we can gain value equally together as participants within the broader business environment. I'll just quickly bring up my screen, and Michelle, please cue me when we are ready to start, if we have enough mass to keep going.
Kelvin, we have about 200 attendees. I think that's okay to start.
All right, great.
Yes.
So I'll just bring up my, see it on the screen. And I'll proceed that point on. Confirm is visible. Thank you.
Yes, it's visible.
All right, great. I think we'll just jump straight into this. Good morning once more, everybody, and thank you for making time for this webinar. The self-titled slide on the screen right now is Digital Payments, an Enabler for SME Growth. That was intentional because we believe technology, as it were, is a facilitator of sorts that helps us best effectively achieve the outcomes. Sorry, I think we have some background noise. So we see technology is an enabler for SME. It's not present. It's available, and more so through the various sessions that you've actually gone through, have been exposed to different levels of technology that can provide capabilities to enable your business thrive and or operate in a certain either automated and or orchestrated manner. Now, the way we digital payments is that
sorry, Kelvin, you're picking up.
To your existing
sorry to interrupt you, Kelvin. You are breaking up quite a bit.
All right, sorry. Let me just quickly check my connection. Give me a second.
Okay. Options.
Hi, everyone. Just so we are able to move as we wait for Kelvin to have the issue sorted. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Janet.
Awesome. So just give me a minute and then I okay. So about digital payments. So I think in the last 20 plus years, we've all seen how digital payments are able to change how we live, how we interact with each other, our businesses, and most importantly, the kind of enterprises we are building. So with the introduction of M-Pesa, we changed our ways or our way of life basically into the digital front, and we are able, and Kenya is actually at the forefront of it, we are able to make payments in different ways all through a digital a digital gadget. It could be a phone, it could be a card, all these things, right? And so I think the government has in the last 10 or so years tried to ensure that regulation is put in place to be able to have everything taken care of from the consumer and the business person. Now, what happened in the last 2 years, we all experienced COVID and how COVID can change our ways of life. While COVID in itself was not the best thing that could have happened to, to anyone, to the world, specifically to businesses, there are businesses that in the last 2 years, grew their customer base almost tenfold because of switching, easily being able to switch into a digital, into the digital era. So being able to allow, accept, and make payments from a digital platform changed the way consumers view businesses and the way business owners are able to, to distribute their goods, their services, and most importantly, their presence. And basically, Kelvin had already started touching on this. There are different names to a digital payment. A digital payment is sometimes called an electronic payment, an e-payment. It could be value, it could be, it has different names depending on where you are, interacting with it from. So different. Sorry, is that a question? Okay. So in a nutshell, when you look at a digital payment from from a definition perspective, you're looking at the ability to make or transfer value without necessarily using the actual the actual instrument of value. So instead of using the cash, coins, all these other ways of actually transferring value, you're doing it on a digital platform using either a card on a channel such as a point of sale or a mobile phone or a laptop, a computer. It could be any of those things, and that has changed the behavior of the consumer.
Kelvin, please mute yourself, please. Kelvin, please mute.
I am muted.
Okay. Please, Janet, please continue.
Okay. Sorry. So basically, when you look at the nature of businesses right now, and the consumer and the behavior of the consumer, in how they have quickly learned how they can get value in the most convenient way, a digital payment comes in to help a business be able to serve those consumers on, in different platforms, using their different needs, requirements, capabilities, and even exposures. So basically, when you look at the types of digital payments currently in place, such as contactless payments, where you just tap your phone and you transfer value, card payments, online payments using your online banking, your maybe any other solution that you're currently using. We have mobile payments, M-Pesa, Airtel Money, and T-Cash. We have e-wallet payments. We have fintechs in the world that have sort of like moved towards providing the same services. And what that has done for businesses, sorry about that, what that has done for businesses is that first, it has increased the efficiency of receiving money and the speed of actually recording your transaction. So by the end of your transaction, you already know if you have if you've received value for your goods or services or not. And it has also reduced the cost of actually transacting, because most of the payments currently, I mean, when you look at the cost of handling cash, is very huge. Most people find it easy. I mean, currently in Kenya, we are still using 98% of the transactions in Kenya are still cash. The 1% is what is split between what we know as mobile money and cards. And that's because mostly because of the convenience people have. However, from a business perspective, the handling of cash is, has a big cost that some of it is not easily quantifiable. When you look at an M-Pesa transaction or a mobile money transaction or a card transaction, you can easily say, this is going to cost me 30 shillings or this. But when it's cash, you may not be able to quantify that because it's not really easily quantifiable. It's mostly quantifiable from a risk perspective or from a convenience perspective. Again, the transparency and security that comes with digital payments is unmatched, because you're able to see transactions as and when they come in your business, whether or not you're the person manning the business at that point. If assuming you're a business person that has more than one unit, you can be able to track your payments from the different units, the different stores, the different shops, from a singular place, because the transactions are recorded as and when they come in. And what that then means is that it reduces your exposure to different different security lapses, such as fraud, even physical theft. The other thing is that it makes you, as a business, you're part of the financial inclusion movement. So you are able to allow different people, different calibers of your customers to be able to transact with you at any one time, at any one place. And what this has done is that even as you accept, because a payment has the issuing side and the acceptance side. So even as you accept, you're also increasing the capabilities of your customers from an issuing perspective. And of course, and the biggest of all is the inclusive growth, where the benefits that I've just mentioned help us grow the SME community in a different way, because then it increases your scale without necessarily increasing the cost of distribution. So you find that you can be able to grow exponentially, hopefully, with digitization of payments without necessarily having to have to have a presence in every place where you're distributing your goods. That said, I wanted to just give you a very rough idea of what digital payments in terms of mobile transactions, how they've been performing since 2020 to say 2021, and you can see very steady growth. You don't, this is not the kind of transactions that we mentioned here are transactions that you can actually see them growing from year to year. From 2010, you can see from and this is from CBK. So from 2010, the point of sale transactions have grown steadily, you know, from so you're looking at around 50 million, circa 50 million in 2022. What we have here is for 2021, all the way, I mean, from 2010, you're looking at less than 10 million transactions in volume. Yeah. And so what that tells you is that it's not just the business that is moving towards digital, even our customers are moving towards digital payments. And that is because of the different ways that customers have been enabled to make payments and the different values they get from the different digital platforms that they interact with. And so this is basically to give you an outlook of the digital payments. We are looking at a digital future. In fact, as we are talking, people are quickly moving from digital payments as we know them, e-value payments, to different kind of payments that, you know, that are currently being accepted in the market. And in 10 years' time, we're going to have a different set of, you know, digital payment types that the entire world will be moving towards. And what that means is this is the right time for any business to look at including and maybe prioritizing digitization of their payment cycle, because as we continue with this conversation, you will see the different kind of use cases that you can put in place for your businesses. Again, right now, financial institutions such as DTB and, you know, the other 42 banks, different banks are looking at the consumer in a different way. One of the ways that DTB, for instance, is looking at consumers is looking at them as a partner, as a business partner, and not just looking at them as I'm providing some service to you. We are looking at how do we ensure that even in this digital space, you're able to move your businesses, because it is in your growth that the bank grows. And so you will see in the next few months, in the next few years, banks such as DTB putting out to market solutions that are putting the customer first, the business first, and then the bank last. And that is very intentional, because with creation of value through the digital space, creation of solutions for businesses through, and specifically SMEs through the digital space, it gives the bank more more you know, bandwidth to create, I mean, to solve for them and even gain from the knowledge that you know, that they have over the years. So one of the other things that the digital payment gives is information. At any one point, you're able to know how your business is doing from a payment in and payment out perspective. And so you can start looking at issues around you know, profitability, issues around expensing, issues around you know, ecosystems at a very early stage. Because it's not at the end of the day when an accountant sits down and tells you, do you know incoming was this much and outgoing was this much? You can actually see from a digital, you know, from a digital payment perspective, you can actually see your performance as you continue. And performance of the business, starting at the heart of it, is payments. Who is paying you, why they're paying you, how are they paying you, frequency of payment, and who do you need to pay? What is the frequency of that? How does that leave you out of pocket, if at all? And what kind of you know, solutions do you need right now to solve for a problem that will come in 10 days? So that information from a digital perspective is something that any business, whether big or small, can leverage on to be able to get ahead of their problems. So the other thing around digital payments is the ability to then automate your business. And this ability, this does not necessarily come, just by the fact that you're using a digital payment. It's the fact that you can make different orchestrations with the help of the bank, or even as yourself as a business, using those payments to automate some simple processes that you currently, have to do manually, and what this does is it reduces your what can I say? It reduces your effort in things that don't necessarily add direct value to your business, and increases your time to focus on adding value to your business. So if it is sales, if it is expanding your business, if it is expanding your territories, whatever it is, you have more time to focus on that, because the digital side of things is taking care of the small nuances the business may have. Michelle?
Yes, Janet, launching the poll right now.
Yes, so because I feel like I've talked quite a bit, I wanted to get a little bit of feedback from yourself. Michelle is running a poll right now. Just tell us from your businesses currently, what kind of channels and digital solutions do you employ? So there are quite a number. You can choose the one that you prefer. This is just one. Which one from your business, from running your business currently, which one is it that you have preference for? So I'll give you around 2 to 3 minutes to do that. Michelle, feel free to cue us to continue.
Let's give it a few more minutes. I can see we have 54% of participation out of the attendee. So give it about 10:25. We can stop the poll. I'll cue you.
Okay.
Okay, great, Janet. I think I'm ending the poll right now. We have about 232 answers from the participants.
Awesome. Thanks. I think Kelvin is able to now take over from now. Kelvin, karibu.
Sure, thank you, and apologies for the earlier mess up with the disconnection. Great. So from the poll we just ran, the idea was to try and get a feel of what are the various modes of payment or digital functionality you're using at your businesses. We see a whopping 66% use mobile money, commendable, and as would be expected in this market. 17% using bank transfers, 13% handling online payments, and 5% handling cards. Very interesting. We have no persons using payment links or QR codes, but that's something we hopefully would want to solve with you as we move along in this journey. So with regard to the various kinds of payment use cases that could be utilized for purposes of SME payments using digitally acquired payments, we see three key main areas that cut across various industry and sector. Now, the representation of the ones on the screen is not necessarily an indication of this is where it can only work. It's really just a demonstration of the various types of places that these types of digital payments could be utilized, be it retail, be it all the way through to hospitality or e-commerce. Now, one of the major solutions that we see digital payments helping businesses especially run is accepting payments. Now, be it whether in person, where you have a physical individual walking into your premise, or whether be it remote payments in cases where you may be selling online but fulfill deliveries either as your business or through the extension of other services, and or digital sales. There's quite a growing population of guys who are now, say, authors, and they're selling digital content as an example. We see a lot of this happening even with other platforms like Viusasa and the like, Boomplay, etc., all of which are utilizing digital payments to acquire transactions. Now, given the poll we just ran, I would want to assume that most of us who may be within those particular areas of business are utilizing either card, mobile money, and or bank payments. Now, accepting payments through this means has its own advantages, and we'll get to those shortly. We also see the need of digital payments being critical in facilitating us as a business, orchestrate or facilitate payments through our own accounts from where we would be settling these monies into. This may be to pay your suppliers as an example. It may be to handle your bills and expenses within your business, but that could also be used to cover certain obligations. This could be repayment of loans and things of that nature. Now, coupling these two things, we ought to see a setup where the business is acquiring enough cover towards the business that they're running to actually extend and provide these types of payments, be it to suppliers and the likes. Digital payments give you the advantage of settling this cash real time in cases where that has been orchestrated as such, and facilitate this particular business to run without having the issues of T+1, which you would hear, for example, in card payments, another longer settling set of transactions. Now, managing your business is something you'd wonder, why or how would a digital set of functionality cater to such functionality? Now, if you're running a business, for example, and you had within one unified platform the capabilities to actually track of what's coming in or what's going out, it then kind of starts to give you a sort of business financial management tool that should at the very least enable you, other than make payments or receive payments, keep a track of what these payments are being used for. Some of the use cases highlighted are, we could be able to meet the expectations of paying salaries, for example, paying taxes for those particular salaried persons, or even taxes for your own business. Further to which you could actually extend to purchase raw materials or even other inventory that you would utilize for purposes of executing your business on a day-to-day. Now, most recently, when we were trying to prepare for this particular session, we came across a very interesting statistics from Deloitte, where they indicated that the performance of most SMEs and medium-sized businesses are edging towards running in a digital world. Now, effectively, the consumption or the utilization of these various tools are perceived as providing a wide range of benefits. Up to the tune of this particular survey, 85% of those who are polled were using digital tools. Now, collectively from the poll we just ran, it is not all the way to the 85%, but definitely indicates of the population on the call, we do have a lot of people edging towards that way. But what more could we be able to draw out from digital payments of that nature to actually demonstrate value? If we move to the next slide, one of the ways we identify or see the capability to benefit as an SME is somewhat summarized in this particular slide. There's more that can be identified, but we see 8 key benefits. 1, you'd be able to realize real-time monetary value for the types of transactions you're acquiring. Why we think that's important for an SME is because the shortfalls of liquidity that may be in place if you are, say, for example, acquiring a digital payment and only receive cash in your operational account 2-3 days later, does not provide for means to cover any expenses or day-to-day requirements you may have of such funds. Second, the capabilities that are offered by digital payments extend the functionality to reconcile whatever monies are coming in for sales or services rendered to offer real-time and or automated reconciliation. Basically, that helps an SME have up-to-date sales records from payments that they have acquired for either services and or goods sold. This is important, especially in a place where you have to take care of pilferage of either stock or even cash if you're in a high cash business. An important fact to note, even with the statistics shared by Janet earlier, CBK still indicate that we are over the 90-something percentile of cash transacting within trade within our economy, something we'd hope to see change. One of the other key advantages that comes with digital payments is the tracking of the various transactions that would be coming into and out of your operational account. Now, effectively, this would help a business more so within the credit information asymmetry. Many a times a business would be running their enterprise, and if you are solely dealing on cash and you are to approach a financial institution saying, here's my track record of what I've been able to do, I have XYZ that I perform as daily sales. In most cases, we find that if we are not able to articulate how these monies have flowed in a place where that can be tracked as a financial organization, in most cases, you'll always be asked, can I see your business statement or can I see your M-Pesa statement? Digital payments help cover that gap unknowingly for most businesses. How? The records of these transactions would be relevantly available as and when those would be needed for the organization. So tracking those cash flows to inform credit assessments is one of those very key advantages. Now, as we delve into the areas of digital payments and also serving a digital populace, the remote service deliveries that we see most businesses today rendering, there's a lot of boutiques who are selling online today, either via Facebook, via Instagram and the like, expanding the reach through which they would be able to acquire new markets, especially from a geographical sense of things. Digital payments sort of take that into a whole new ball game, for example. So I don't physically have to be there present with a customer of mine to have them make a payment. With trust embedded in how digital payments are financed or managed by an organization such as a financial institution, DTB as an example, you're able to run your business within geographical boundaries, not worrying too much about how the customer is supposed to be there with you to receive and or acquire payments. That can actually be done without hindrance. So definitely giving you more reach. One of the other key things is reducing the cost of cash handling. Now, in most cases, especially if you're in a cash-heavy business, you realize that at the end of the day or in intervals of a certain day, you'll have to account for the cash, figure out how you'll securely get it to your bank, and then cater to how that is supposed to be addressed. Now, one of the key things that is born out of digital payments is you no longer have to handle that cash. The electronic value of it is managed between the organization providing the capabilities for payment and the capabilities of acquiring those payments directly into your store of value. Now, one of the other key things is eliminating cash loss. Now, as I used in the earlier example, pilferage of cash does take place. You have a small till that you handle all the payments that are being made for services. Every once in a while, there could be mishaps in how you reimburse change or potentially how your employees may be handling this cash for any sale. Pilferage is one of those key problems that digital payments helps to solve for. So effectively, the other key thing we are looking at is with customer insights that could be born from this data. As payments are being done electronically, and possibly a thought-provoking point here to the person, 66% that was handling mobile money payments. How well do we churn data from those payments to identify who are our repeat customers? How do we ensure that we can retain or source new business if we see a new person has paid us with a digital means like a mobile money as an example. Digital payments and the way we see it should actually be a place where we are churning data to generate insights that can help a business run a bit better and or identify new opportunities within the operations that they are presently running. One of the key things that we're also looking at is automation. Now, when I did talk about the case of reconciliation and being automated, things like receipting, invoicing, updating your inventory can also be automated. If real-time payments are being made and those are being tracked back into the store of value that you're operating, those of us who would have ERPs or invoicing or ticketing systems can consume of digital capabilities that would let you know a payment has been done. And that could automatically say, for example, strike off an item from your inventory as having been sold or consumed. Or it could, for example, generate a ticket or an automated invoice to an end consumer where this particular transaction that was performed can trigger that particular action. Among so many other things that we can possibly think of as digital payment solving for, these are but a few that we think off the bat, a customer ought to be able to consume of such services when digital payments are made available, and you would be able to utilize to automate your business. Now, on the next slide, we look at how are these digital payments solving for this type of legitimacy? And we think of it more so as a continuum. Why? At the end of the day, one of the key things that digital payments is helping solve for is the asymmetry of data and how that data is equitably being handled between the payment provider, the business themselves, and the customer at the end of the day. We see value where, for example, the recorded transactions that are coming in and out will rack and add up to the visibility of the business's transaction. That will in turn create a smooth extraction of that data, either statements or accounts of that particular business, etc., and effectively be used to determine the valuable business financial positioning that would be used either in assessing one's credit worthiness and or the health of their business and such like things. Further to which, at the end of the day, looking at this from a financial institution point of view, that helps solve that asymmetry of information for us. And it does help us further to actually add on to much more value. So as opposed to us looking at a customer approaching and saying, hey, I have need for certain business as far as credit could be concerned, the bank would be in a position to actually extend offers to you based on the observations that we see. And at the end of the day, the financial legitimacy that comes from digital payments and or products of that nature extend the capability for financial organizations to actually build more and or add on more value to the type of business that you'd be running. Now, all this said, I think it would be important for us to sort of hear back from the teams. Michelle, if you'd cue the next poll, would like to appreciate from our understanding or from understanding what it is we see happening in the market. What are those key challenges that SMEs are presently facing so that we get a feel of, are we solving the right kind of problem as we move along? Michelle, if you don't mind, please cue the next poll.
Thank you, Kelvin. I've queued the poll. Please remember it's a multiple choice poll and you can have as many answers. Thank you.
Please feel free to pick more than one answer to this question. It would really be important for us to get an understanding of what are some of those daily challenges or relevant issues that you'd like to see a financial institution resolve for you as a business person. Michelle, just keep track of the responses. If we are above 60, 70%, I think we can call it, but we can give it a minute to allow the attendees respond.
I will do that right now. We are at 45%.
All right, great.
We have 60%. Great. Kelvin, we are at 67%. I think it's okay for me to end the poll right now.
Sure, I think in the interest of time, we can end it there, then see the results.
Great.
All right, great. So we'll just publish the polls results for us. All right, this is looking interesting. All right, so we have 55% of us who consider one of the largest payments challenges being cost of digital payments. Fair enough. 44% of us indicate that the security of digital payments is actually a challenge, more concern I would interpret. 38% is quite interesting. Access to different digital payments. Then yes, my friends, you're in the right place today. I hope to have all of you live here with more options to consider and at proper cost. 33% of us consider lack of knowledge. As would be indicated through our session today, we certainly hope that we'll be providing you with the adequate information and actionable outcomes from this session to actually benefit from this session directly as a business. 18% indicate applicability of digital payments. Potentially, you may be in a different site of business where that may be not applicable, but we certainly hope we can demonstrate how that could still be of value. And the size of the business should not worry us at 15%, because I believe at any level of business, if there's proper value being born, that could definitely be something we can generate as value. Thank you so much, everyone, for the responses there. Now, and as we segue into the next screen, would like to delve into more actionable outcomes on how DTB can actually respond to some of those challenges and or help in the various types of interactions you have as a business, running it, and even operating your day-to-day operations. So DTB has different channels that it presently offers its customers, business and or individual, for purposes of running, operating either personal, business enterprise, and the like. In very high level, and more information would definitely be available via our website, and even further information to be shared to the attendants should you so wish. Card payments are functionality we currently offer. The DTB merchant acquiring business does extend physical POS devices that can be used to acquire card payments, more so for physical premise. And this also does extend through capabilities that we have provided to some of our customers to actually even acquire online payments. Now, these support multiple currency, and these are also stepped into the capabilities for those who may prefer utilizing things like their prepaid card, acquire multiple payments in different transaction sets that can be held there. Now, points of sale is really the functionality that supports the various types of cards. Cards specifically are more so for the retail and or sole proprietors who may want to use this, but primarily used for making payments. Points of sale help us acquire payments more directly from the customer. Internet banking, multifold, has been used, especially in the case of businesses tracking payments. This is through your statements. It also has been used by businesses and enterprises to process payments outward from their stores of value or accounts to make obligations and or meet payments for suppliers, pay taxes to the government, because that's a functionality available, make payments for bills and the like. Mobile banking is to the more upwardly mobile entrepreneur. With mobile banking, you can still do similar functionality as you have on internet banking. You can make your payments outward from your store value. You can track your activity through your statements. You would also be able to see in real time which payments are being handled or processed into your account, with the capability to drill down to the details of that particular transaction, as well as make payments. Make payments for your various bills and obligations. Automated teller machines, we presently do have both cash out and cash in. Cash in would be more akin to persons who have more of a heavier cash cycle and would want to deposit cash into their accounts. Cash out more so for one who would want to access physical cash, maybe, for example, acquired through digital means, but has the need for physical cash to sort one or two other expenses at the physical premise. Other basic information such as seeing your mini statement and balance are also services available via the ATM machines. But enough about the channels. There's the actual payment services on the next slide that facilitate the actual value exchange and movement of cash either in or out from your particular business. If you navigate to the next slide, please. So effectively, with the channels comes along the payment types themselves. Mobile money, as indicated for most of us, is actually a functionality available. This is agnostic of any channel of the bank. You can use this whether you have internet or mobile banking. The functionality renders the capability for you to receive money real time into an account you have at DTB. And with receiving these monies, this could be for either trade, exchange of value from services or goods sold. It also does offer you the capability to send money out, either as single payments or even bulk payments where the need may be required. Fast forward to a scenario where you have the need to pay, say, salaries as an example. You could utilize this as a capability for that purpose. We also do cover domestic payments. PesaLink, which offers you near real-time transaction payments across banks in Kenya to amounts of up to 1 million Kenya shillings. RTGS, which provides you the same capability but supports foreign currency as well and settles within a matter of less than 2 hours to any bank within Kenya. EFT, one of the older modes of payment, is still available, and to those who would prefer that, it's the same day, it's a T+1, T meaning today plus 1 day to settle at the bank where you'd be sending cash to, has grown less popular with the advent of mobile money, PesaLink and RTGS, but is still available for purposes of utilization. I'll speak to EFT as its other variant under automated clearinghouse shortly. For those that have international trade or deal with parties that are making payments abroad or receiving payments from abroad, international payments such as SWIFT and international money transfers we also offer. These are capabilities that would even far more entrench the capabilities of you to actually deal at a global level and provide functionality to your end consumers or customers to actually render service, not just within the jurisdiction of Kenya, Pan-Africa, and global. Here, as regards the automated clearinghouse, EFTs and direct debits are somewhat brother and sister in some way. In some cases, you do have businesses, especially service providers, where you have recurring payments you'd have to collect every other month. Direct debits basically offer you the capability to acquire an originator code from the bank, and that renders you to get mandates from your customers, and you'd have the capability to retrieve monies from accounts that they would have within any participating bank of the clearinghouse at a certain interval every periodic time you would set. As an example would be, I have an internet service provider business, and I approach DTB and say, DTB, I would like to be recovering payments from my parties at a certain time of the month. DTB can facilitate through the clearinghouse and set up a business configuration for you, where if the customer authenticates or authorizes your business to recover such monies, you'd be able to recover those monies from DTB or other banks locally in favor of payments or services you render in a repetitive manner. The same thing happens on standing instructions, just that those would then be running from accounts you have locally at your particular bank and into your account, most cases real time if their customer and your business account are in the same bank, but it could also run from the other banks as well. Remote check collection, this is something that's offered to larger businesses who are actually heavy on check payments. We do have capability where you could clear payments through the image recognition or image scanning capabilities you'd see at the branch, but installed at the various premises of a business. That is more a custom solution where you get in touch with the bank and an arrangement of such nature could be had. Most recently, we have put together a payments collection service, which is offering capabilities to an SME to acquire payments digitally, either via mobile banking, PesaLink, and other payment types that have just gone through above. Basically, what this offers is a single point of payment where if a customer approaches a business, you're giving them a very specific code through which they would make such a payment, and monies are settled into your bank account in real time. One of the extra advantages this payment automation and recon solution comes with, it gives you API integration capability such that for any payment that is coming in, you can be automatically notified via application interfaces for those of us who do have information systems at their premise, and or for those that are selling physically within their premise, get SMS-based notification for each sale that is being done and the payments hitting your account. The same API connectivity gives you payment capabilities to process payments out of your own bank account, and that can be done real time through the same API integrations. So for those who may have ERP systems they've invested in, yes, there is a solution where you can actually integrate with the bank without necessarily consuming internet banking services. And that's something we are very open to engage and offer as a solution to yourselves. The instant payment notifications is really what I explained as the API notifications for each transaction taking place that provides you the functionality to get real-time updates for any entry that goes into your account. For the earlier solutions we talked about, that can automate your ticketing, that can automate your receipting, that can even go to the lengths of automating your stock and or raw materials handling within the larger systems you may have as an organization. Just at a very high level, highlighting what DTB can offer. And in that way, we would also like to engage once more on another poll. Michelle, if you could cue that, to understand, as a business who is in operation, what do you consider the most critical pieces of automation for your organization? Would you be looking at how you want to automate payment acceptance, payment processing? Is it how you handle your customer management and the like? This poll is quite interesting for us because we are at the cusp of trying to address most of these particular solutions and would want to hear from yourselves, the actual owners and persons running business. What are those key pain points that you'd like to see automated or simplified in such a manner that you'd be able to run your business unhindered? Michelle, please just run the poll for us. I see it's on the screen. If we hit above 60% or 80%, if we can hit that this time, that would be great for us to actually see what kind of problems we should be solving for in the market.
Great.
All right.
The poll is up and running. It's a multiple choice. Pick as many answers as you can.
Great. How are we doing on the poll, Michelle?
We are at 52% right now.
Great. Keep going, guys. If we can hit 80, the more feedback we can receive, the better. And to the questions we see coming into the chat, we'll try and respond to most of those as best we can. Yes, Charles, integration to QuickBooks is actually feasible. The API is generic. If you have the technical capabilities, yes, that can actually integrate all the way back. Yes, Joseph Muteti, bulk payments to around 30 people plus can be handled. Yes, there are transaction charges. More than happy to engage further to see how best we can introduce these capabilities to you. Estamburu, displaying the party's name before the transaction. Technically possible. The new data protection laws somewhat restrict us a bit, but we do offer you that notification of a person you're paying at the end of the transaction, just to make sure that they are the right person you're paying. Maurice, you must be a lucky man if there aren't any charges you've seen this month, but if you're looking at mobile money transactions, yes, those are still zero rated as per the previous 2020 guidelines for COVID. Should those change, you'll be notified in due course. Maurice Malonza, I see your earlier question, whether those charges will be reintroduced. We are guided by CBK, and should they be reintroduced, there's a notice period through which we are expected to notify you, and would be guided by the regulations and feedback coming from CBK as to whether we will charge, how much we'll charge, and when to start to charge. All right, just sampling some of the questions on the poll, on the chat, sorry. So maybe we could publish the poll results. Michelle?
Yeah, we are at 64%. Would you wish to wait any longer, or should I end the poll?
I think you can end the poll. Let's see what the results are.
Okay. Okay. There we go.
All right, thank you so much. So some more interesting results. 61% of us would like payment acceptance to be automated. You're in the right place, ladies and gentlemen. Payment processing, especially for supplier payments, comes in at a close 54%. But interestingly enough, 56% of us would like to see payment record management, such as invoicing, etc., automated. 52% would like to see expense management, such as bills, automated. 57% would like to see financial reporting and bookkeeping automated. This is especially for your profit and loss. In the 30 percentile, we have human resource management, we have raw products management and inventory, and we also have customer management. Very interesting findings there. Now, through the presentation, we've tried to delve into how digital payments can help an SME achieve automation and or achieve more relevance as to how their business delves into the area of digital. My colleague Janet is going to walk us through an actual show and tell of a prototype we are working on, and would really like to see what is the kind of receptance your businesses, for example, would benefit from such, as opposed to just saying, here's what we have. Would like to actually have the group of team members on this particular call participate. And interestingly enough, one of the polls earlier highlighted we had 0 people using pay by link, 0 people using QR codes. Janet, if you'd be so kind, take the team through this next session.
Thank you, Calvin. So what you're seeing on your screen is a sample pay by QR that is actually one of the things that DTB is actually doing to drive payment acceptance. And it's interesting that 61% of those who answered the poll feel that payment acceptance is what needs to be automated. So we are looking more at smaller business, and we want to ensure that as a bank, we are giving solutions to the right people who are pushing the economy. So when you look at people who are doing, side hustles, who are doing businesses, shops, all these kind of businesses that are considered micro SMEs and SMEs, they want to be able to drive as many sales as possible without necessarily having to do the legwork that comes with such kind of business. So what you're seeing here on your screen is a QR code, and anyone who currently has a smartphone, you can just open your camera and scan, and what you will be experiencing is what your customer may experience with a QR code placed at your designated payment payment place. So for instance, if it is at your shop, or if it is at your maybe your Facebook page or your Instagram page, anywhere where you expect to drive some sales. So just try and walk through it. It's definitely it's a simulation, so don't expect any real movement of cash. It's basically to give you an idea of how this can quickly solve the automation of your payments. And if you go through the payment, the mobile money payment, which is fully done end to end for purposes of the fact that a lot of you said that you prefer mobile money payments, please use the M-Pesa link when you click on this QR and try and see completing the payment with even a shilling or two, just to see what that experience is like. I'll wait for you guys to do that. In the meantime, as you're experiencing that, I want to basically just look through some of the question and answers. Some of the questions that have been placed on the Q&A. And I can see Martin Collet asking, why do SMEs have more difficulties accessing finances compared to larger enterprises? I think during the conversation, when Kelvin was taking us through one of the slides, we did talk about the digital payment being the heart of the ecosystem, and this is payment as a whole. The only thing that digital payment solves for this is creating that visibility. So most of the bigger and larger enterprises have the muscle to basically provide the kind of information that banks need to evaluate the businesses. Most small businesses, and here I'm going for the micro SMEs, do not have the kind of structures in place where information can quickly flow from them to the bank to enable the bank to quickly iterate and look at different options that they can place for them. However, that said, banks are now slowly moving outside of that traditional banking mindset, where credit has to come through a physical asset secured provision, where we ask you for collateral for your businesses. Banks are slowly moving to other forms of financing that may help SMEs, and that is something that we'll cover in our discussions later. But yeah, you are looking at things around invoice discounting and receivable-based financing. However, all these are accessible to SMEs that have found a way of structuring their information in terms of how it is that money is coming to them and how it is that money is flowing to them. And that visibility can be provided to the banks. So that is work in progress, Martin. And I do appreciate how that puts into a tough position as a business. But the banks are moving very fast towards trying to solve for SMEs, and especially micro SMEs in that aspect. There is a question from Zahra around some data protection and how safe the users are, bearing in mind hackers have really managed to hack M-Pesa and online transactions. Zahra, yes, the issue of cyber security is live, because we all know that for every new innovation, there is a counter innovation of the same. So what the country put in place, the Data Protection Act, and signed it off as law in 2022, and all banks being regulated by CBK and all these other functions such as CMA, ODPA, all these guys regulate the banks and ensure that, one, you have adhered to the Data Protection Act by registering and registering yourself either as a processor or as a controller in each of the processes that you put in place. And that would explain why, as Kelvin mentioned, some data may not necessarily just come to you, even though we may have it and we have the technology to push it to you. We may not be able to push it to you because we are tied from a Data Protection Act perspective. We do also have quite a number of rigorous activities that we put across on cybersecurity to ensure that our systems are up to date. We are not saying we are perfect. We are saying that for every issue that the current, the current world is facing from a cybersecurity perspective, we have a team that is dedicated to vulnerability testing, penetration testing, and to ensure that our systems are in place. We try to look at the risks before they happen and try to mitigate them in the system and in the processes in place. This is work in progress, but we do also ensure that all our customers are informed on how to secure themselves on the various systems that we provide to them. Someone did ask about the bank providing a till number that is linked to the bank account. Yes, we do have that service. And yes, we do currently allow for all the payments to hit the account on real-time basis. Currently, because of the regulation that was put forward by CBK in 2020 to support businesses and individuals during the COVID era, it is yet to be lifted. So there are no charges at that particular point. However, charges that may be implemented by different players, such as say M-Pesa, depending on the regulation that is maybe made lenient on them, may apply. However, from a bank perspective, currently receiving payments through our till, not through your till, through our till as DTB are currently zero rated. Michelle, perhaps you can put the next poll as I answer the questions.
Maybe Janet, before we proceed, I see some persons have had a challenge using the QR code. One question here was, how do you use the QR code? Effectively, but most of the mobile smartphone applications presently have the capability within their camera setting. When you point your camera at that QR code, what it does is it generates for you a prompt on your screen. Basically, it's a link through which you'll be able to get into and click on. Now, when you click on that link, it gives you a payment experience as an end user. In this particular case, I've seen some of us who've actually been successful in trying. It presents you with multiple options that you can then interact with. One of those is mobile money. There's also PesaLink, there's card payments, and there's direct DTB account payments. Effectively, what this offers to your end customer is wherever you may be selling, and some of the use cases we were thinking is if you're at the mall, for example, you've seen these guys who are usually selling up by the corridor side. These are guys who will, on one day of the week, be at a particular mall, the next week they're at another. With such a QR code, they have a readily available mode of payment acquiring, which they can receive payments through. And in the demonstration there, and what Janet highlighted is if you try if you do sign up to the DTB till payment solution, you also do get a short code. The short code is a small 6-digit number that if utilized through mobile money and or these other payment channels that we offer, you'd also be able to receive payments remotely. So effectively, the journey may be different for some, given the kind of device you may be working with, but the idea is scan the code and it'll give you a pop-up. Tap on that pop-up, it'll take you to the link where you'd be able to experience your payments from. Effectively, that same link is what can be used, and especially with some of us who have Instagram pages, if generated for your business, you could paste on your bio and customers could also use that way to pay you directly from that particular service. Back to you, Janet.
Yeah, thanks, Calvin, for that. So as we are doing the QR solution poll, I'm still going through some of the questions that you have raised, and I want to see how much we can address. How can this digital payments platform be expanded so that all banks and customers who are not yet open to these modes of payment? We have learning institutions, banks, businesses that do not accept this mode of payment. So yes, Julius, we have one of the challenges that is facing the financial industry right now is interoperability, where different banks have different payment methods. and digital solutions that they've put out. However, we as, for instance, we as DTB are working very closely with institutions such as, PesaLink that can create, that have visibility and linkages to different banks. And from the QR, you can see we have put in PesaLink in there to be able to allow for some sort of interoperability. We do realize that, yes, payment acceptance may not be very easy. And that's why one of the reasons we are doing, say, for instance, the DTB, the QR, the Infinity QR that you've just experienced, is to allow businesses to be able to accept at a very low cost, if at all. And that, because once you drive acceptance from the different business types and the different organizations and institutions and what have you, you then increase the financial penetration in the market, which again drives the need to increase acceptance for everyone else. For instance, when M-Pesa started, it was just at M-Pesa stalls, and the more customers got used to it, banks plugged in, and now microfinance institutions, SACCOs, and everyone is plugging into it. So that's the same concept we are looking at: drive acceptance, and then it will drive issuance. So that can basically be one of the things that we are doing. And to just give you a little bit of comfort is we have in the last few years as DTB revised how we are looking at payment solutions and digital solutions by starting customer first. So we are looking at your data that we have of our customers, how you're accepting etc., to give the solutions that fit your business, as opposed to giving solutions that perhaps we have capability for. So yes, we are looking at how we're going to drive that. From an interoperability perspective, one bank cannot be able to do it. Everyone has to come to the table. But then from an acceptance perspective, you can use different tools to drive the same purpose. I'm seeing also a question around, can you consider putting e-statement downloadable, accessible via mobile application? So this can be done. Currently, we have both mobile and online banking. You can get an e-statement from online banking very easily. For mobile application, because of the size of the application, there is a limit as to how much can be displayed in-app. However, you can easily order for an e-statement that can be delivered into your email box. So again, these are things that can be done. It's just about how and how we can put it and maybe expose to you the information on how you can do it. So yeah. Michelle, where are we at on the QR poll?
We are at 47%. With about 196 participants having answered.
Okay, I'll continue with the questions here. We have Grace Ndegwa who's explained how you had to use a competitor for depositing of checks. We currently, as a bank, what we did, we have the ability of check deposit from remote check deposit. So for businesses that have a lot of checks that as part of their payment modes, we are able to provide you with a solution that allows you to deposit at the comfort of your offices. So that was our first phase. As I said, we are currently looking at driving solutions from customer feedback, and the customer feedback was more on enabling businesses to do remote checks. And so that is something that we rolled out earlier in the year, and we would be happy to install for you, Grace, for your business. However, from a personal side, we are still looking from, this is feedback that we've gotten from you. If it is on an individual perspective, we want to see how we can do it from a prioritization perspective. We have other customers who have requested changes to be made on our automated teller machines, and those are given the number of customers who have requested those particular changes. We have prioritized those, and we will put this in our queue and see how customers respond to this when we send the notification to them. And maybe at the end of this, we will give you an email address that you can reach out to us directly should you require for the installation of remote check product. Martin, yes, we have gotten feedback on different of our different products that currently use the internet. And one of the things that we are working on is enhancing our USSD code for different services. And that is work in progress because a lot of prioritization had to be done on that. Currently, the only service that perhaps can be taken into consideration that doesn't use the internet is a USSD code to drive digital payment acceptance and issuance, and other services such as invoice discounting and etc. So that is in the kitchen, and we are hoping that it will come out. We hope by the next time we are having such a session, we will be either giving you feedback on customers who've used it or demonstrating the same for you. Michelle, cue me when you get to 65 and above %.
Okay, great. Right now we're at 55%. I will cue you.
Okay.
Great. Maybe Janet, I can take some of the questions as well. Catherine Mwangi,
yes,
you're asking, do we have a prompt code number, i.e. hash star hash? I think what you're referencing is whether DTB has a USSD shortcode. Yes, we do. It's star 382 hash. And that gives you access to our mobile banking service, from whence you'd be able to interact with that service from a feature phone and or even smartphone if you prefer using USSD rather than the app. Lawrence Juma, you ask for QR code. Can it be customized to person's preference, like adding business logo or business slogan? Nothing is impossible, Lawrence. Today was basically a very quick demonstration of what the possibilities of QR can do. And yes, these are definitely considerations of how we can take this forward. Part of the poll that's currently running is to actually gauge, do we expend more effort to customize it further for your use as a business? And I hope to see the answer being yes, such that then we can incorporate into the larger roadmap such customizations as what you've indicated. But to answer your question directly, the answer is yes. Esbon, you did indicate that the digital payment mode is not clear. I'm not quite certain which one you referenced. On the screen right now is a QR payment. We were using it as a demonstration of some of the payment types that could be utilized by a business where they would want to acquire transactions. How it works is you scan the QR with your phone. It'll generate a link for you, which you can then delve into more detail to see the various types of payments that are supported. There's another question, I think, related to the QR code on the screen. Why don't we support Airtel Money? Airtel Money and the card services there are demonstrations of the extra things we want to offer. For purposes of this presentation, we quickly spun up the work to actually demonstrate how it would work with mobile money on M-Pesa. But you'd be happy to know that recently with the interoperability of all telco mobile money, this question was from Harris Fondo. The interoperability between Airtel Money and Safaricom does accord you the capability to actually pay an Airtel Money recipient directly from M-Pesa. So it's actually even lessening more of the work that aggregators or payment providers would have to deal with. If you haven't tried it, sir, please give it a try. You're now able to send money across networks as if you are on that particular network you'd be sending payments to. For those that I see confirmation of your transactions happening, thank you for testing this out. Very happy for you to participate in the poll for us to see how best we can then take this one forward. There's another question here. Sending to the US is very expensive from Kenya shillings, was charged 3K for a payment of 10K to the US. Godfrey, if you'd be so kind to share some more details with us directly via email, contact@dtbafrica.com would be able to take more details to understand what was taking place so that we don't discuss greater detail about your transaction on the chat. Martin Coley, you're asking the issue of name prompt once you're transferring money, the Hakikisha stuff, to make sure the money goes to the right recipient. Any plan on that? Martin, this is actually in place when you're using our channels. What happens is at the point of processing a transaction, that particular pop-up does come up at the point of you having authorized the transaction, and that is utilized for purposes of you telling whether you've sent money to the right person or not. If it's not to the right person, that you would be able to stop the transaction with the bank or have it recalled. Yes, improvement can be made so that you view that beforehand, but of course, as I stated earlier, with the data protection laws, would have to put restrictions, and I think you've even seen this on M-Pesa. They will limit you to doing up to 5 where you cancel a transaction. As opposed to canceling that or restricting our customers, we give it to you at the point of authorizing the transaction. So at the very least, you're not limited. Thank you, Nancy. I'm glad you appreciate the QR journey. About mobile app, purpose of payment allocation for reference. Yes, Abdullahi, these are part and parcel of the inputs that are currently covered, predominantly on the payment modes that would offer this. You will see at the bottom of, say, for example, your mobile banking transaction, a reason code or payment purpose. That will usually make its way into your statement in case you do want to track payments that are being done. Lawrence Juma, for the QR, can one generate for his or her account? If yes, what's the process? The process is there's a contact that Janet will share with us at the end of this particular session from where you can make the request, and a follow-up on how we can support you on that part to generate your own can be facilitated. Singh Moses, you ask, just in case you missed it, how do you have real-time settlement of sales done through your own Lipa and M-Pesa till? So basically what happens is that that particular M-Pesa till would be generated under the bank's till solution, and that would be tied to your account directly. That's what generates or gives you the capability for real-time settlement. So reaching out through the contact that will be shared, you would be able to make use of those capabilities and acquire real-time payments. Mohammed, sorry, I hope I'm getting your name right. Let's try and find your question. We've not skipped it. There's a lot coming in at the same time, but we'll take the time to actually revert back to yourselves, even though we don't answer the question right here. Okay. Faisal, I also see your point. We'll try and track it on the chain of emails here so that we can address that as well. Michelle, Janet, back to you as we scroll through the other questions. Oh yeah, Mohammed, you're asking how we can buy M-Pesa float. This is work in progress. We presently do not have it on our mobile or internet banking solution, Mohammed. That is something that we can definitely work towards. Thanks. Sorry, Michelle, back to you.
That's fine, Kelvin. We are 60%, 61%. If that's okay with Janet.
Yeah,
could end it.
That's fine. You can end it, and then we see what that looks like.
Okay. I'm sharing the results right now.
Right. So on a scale of 1 to 5, how did you find the QR solution demonstrated? So 13% of you felt that it wasn't very useful for you from your business perspective. And 31% actually felt that it was very useful for your businesses. We are looking also at 27% feeling it was, right there, kind of useful. 24% felt it was, mid. And it will be very interesting to see how then this can perhaps translate into the growth of your businesses. That said, I think I'll close that poll. I'm trying very much to see how we can address all the questions that have been put in the Q&A section. Fleming, I'm so sorry about your inability to participate in the polls because you can't see any links. Perhaps we'll look into that next time when we're driving the polls. Again, who do we get in touch with for API access? We are going to publish an email address for the product team where you can be able to write an email to them so that they can give you access to the APIs. So I don't know if Michelle, we can publish that somehow on.
Yes, we will share contacts as we have always done at the end of the training.
Okay.
Once we share the slides out, the last slide will have the contacts of the team and how you can reach them after the training.
Yes, Stephen Nganga, as I said, that is a very good point, that there are many applications out there driving different solutions. And one of the things that you've seen on, for instance, the QR code is the ability to be able to drive different payment solutions on one link, as opposed to just having 2 or 3. So what we are trying to do from a DTB perspective is have as many payment solutions and acceptance points as possible. It's work in progress, but from a perspective of the bank, we are looking at it exactly to address the issue that you've talked about, your distribution of your data everywhere else. So what we are doing is, if we are able to consolidate different payment types into one acceptance point, and then driving that for your business, even from a customer perspective, then you can be able to plan yourself as a customer. You can be able to say, okay, fine, going forward, I have this prepaid card, which again, as DTB, we do have. I have this prepaid card, which I will be using for my purchases because it can be accepted in different places where I do my business, my purchases. Or I can only stick to maybe M-Pesa because, you know, it can be accepted anywhere you go. So you're never worried about getting into a situation where you have to produce a different type of payment, and now maybe driving a lot of information leakage. So that is something that is work in progress. Most of these questions, if they're directed directly to the team, we should be able to address most of them. I'm trying to read the ones that would need, you know, us to address right now.
Yes, I think one of the questions by Faisal, I've been able to trace it. Faisal was asking about the charges of ledger fees when transactions are processed to his account via pay bill number. Faisal, there are different accounts that DTB offers, and each account has different tariffs tied to it. My recommendation would be having a quick conversation with your relationship manager, that would be the branch manager of your account, or we could facilitate through the contacts that will be shared, just to see what product you're presently using. Yes, there are those that will attract a ledger fee, but there are those that will not. So that's something that can be tackled in that way. But the payment acquiring through mobile money into your account, for those that do not have a ledger fee tied to their account, is at no charge.
Okay, Michelle?
Yes, Janet, we still have a couple of more questions and a few more minutes.
Yes.
If you would like to tackle some of them on the Q&A.
Yes, I'm actually answering some, typing. I'm trying to do both. I'm typing for some, and I'm looking at, I did answer the one around till. And you did mention that you're working with Microsoft Dynamics. Yes, we do offer API integration for both payments going out and payments coming in, meaning IPNs. So, and we are growing that particular set to include other banking products under the banking as a service solution. So we would be happy to talk to you after this webinar, so that we can be able to curate something that is specific to your requirements. You did not put in your name, you said you're anonymous. So I hope that answers your question. There is also a question around, again, Zahra, you did mention around data. I think I answered this. And you did mention the issue around M-Pesa. I may not be able to speak authoritatively on what's happening on the platform, but what I know is that the financial industry, the government, banks, and even M-Pesa, Safaricom, MNOs are now trying to work together to solve for this menace. So you would see there are so many things that have been put in place, such as verifying IMSI, and putting in algorithms that would verify that when you change your SIM card or when you change your phone, transactions are not able to go through without another level of verification. However, as I said, different players in the market are employing different strategies to solve for these problems. And we are hoping to get some traction as we continue along.
Yeah, Janet, there's a question that's coming there from Frederick Kimani, stating the limitation of 10 M-Pesa transactions a day. For your appreciation, Frederick, that's actually 20 now, because we did receive feedback of similar nature, and that was increased to 20, but you're still, of course, maintaining within the same maximum limit that would be processed. Part of the reasoning behind it is your average number of transactions that you would do, etc. So there was some analysis that went behind it, and that was increased upward to 20. To process more from the digital channels we have at the bank, we have the bulk payment processing of our internet banking solution, where you're not limited to such count, and you would actually be able to do much higher count for transactions. I hope that does help. But should that 20 limit still be restrictive, please feel free to reach back to us for further improvements of the same. And yes, there's a question from a Farah Abdi. The question was regards, he had made application for Lipa na M-Pesa till. You're asked to collect, but you've not gotten this. I'd request that through the same channels through which you had made application, please do send through a follow-up, as well as copying in the email address that will be shared here for us to facilitate your acquisition of the same. Thank you.
Sorry, Michelle, please proceed.
Sorry, Janet, I think it'd be faster if I read some of the questions for you. Then we can go along. So either you or Kelvin can answer. So we have a question from Danson. What are the costs associated with acquisition of a PDQ and bulk recurring payments, e.g. processing salaries? Can I negotiate a rate for the salary processing?
Hello, yeah, you can come in. We do try to see how we can create a pricing model that suits your business, depending, of course, on volumes and frequency of the same transactions. And yes, for the PDQ, again, depending on the kind of transactions that you're doing in terms of volume, the sector you're in, etc., there are associated costs from a transaction perspective. So please do get in touch with us directly for us to speak specifically to your business.
Great. We have Kunal. Kunal is saying the cost of digital payments vis-a-vis domestic online bank transfers overseas, SWIFT transfers are exorbitantly high. This needs to be relooked, and efforts needs to be made local. Local check payments should be discouraged.
Maybe I could tackle that.
For DTB digital payments are quite high.
Sure, thanks Kunal for the question. We'll take into advisement the pricings for some of the transactions you consider high. Of course, we're looking at what our cost base is to actually process them vis-a-vis the value that would be passed on to yourself, the customer. Regards discontinuing local check payments, I think change also needs to start with us. Some of the highest check payments are actually being processed by SMEs. for various reasons, granted. It's still seen as an instrument that can hold trust, especially where I feature data payment. But if trust can be underwritten by the means of operation between two parties, digital payments can also serve that same purpose, where the bank in this particular case would warrant generating a future dated transaction to be paid. And some of the use cases we've been using local check payments for today do have means through which you can actually pay digitally. So change, I think, is a journey, and that will also have to start with the persons that are exchanging value either for trade, services, and or goods. And we see that how can be changed from a regulatory point of view, or from where, say, the regulator, say KBA or even CBK would sit. It's still a valid mode of payment. Tracking it out of the market, I guess, would have to demonstrate suitable alternatives. But that's a journey I certainly hope that we'll be able to take on as we move forward.
Great, thank you for that, Kelvin. Esther is asking, would like to know more about payment automation. Does it cover all the payment types, including cash? Is this instance such that we can have customers wait and process their transaction without physical intervention?
Interesting question. Payment automation and automation of physical cash. That's something I will definitely have to challenge myself to see how to crack. The problem of cash is that you'll have it in physical form in one way or the other. Automation can work to certain extents, but not 100%. Examples of cash automation, especially within the industry, have been installing cash deposit machines at various business premises. I don't know if you've been to a business premise where you see a big gray machine where you deposit cash, some of them at various ATM halls. It's really not automation, but rather just securing funds in physical form in a much better way. And the responsibility of securing the cash, the transit, etc., is passed on to another party, in this case, a payment provider such as a bank. But of the automation services that you'd get from these other capabilities of digital payments, yes, there's really no restriction of what can be automated. It's really just a matter of how much effort is put in to achieve and how much is required to put in place the right kind of infrastructure, either for the business to integrate, especially where they have systems of their own. But really, from a technical point of view, the limitation would really be how far we want to go and how much investment one may want to put in. But in somewhat terms, no restriction, unless there were those that are either advised by regulation or otherwise.
Great. We have Vidas Olima asking, why doesn't DTB have personal loans for individuals like other banks? I think I'll take that. Vidas, we do offer personal loans. All you have to do is visit your nearest branch and talk to the manager or whoever you find there. They will be able to assist you in getting a loan. I can see Janet was also answering that. We have Marciana asking, how does a QR code work? I believe we've answered that, Marciana. Kevin, would you like to recap that just for Marciana, if you will?
Sure. About the QR code. And I also do take notes. Stephen, thank you for your feedback. Stephen, as a good use case, highlights to us that it took him a while to understand the QR solution, but now that he would like to change his score for the poll from 4 to 5. Thank you, Stephen. And for Marciana, just for an appreciation, the QR code is really, think of it as a conduit. In the same way you have a post office, they are a conduit that facilitates a letter from point A to recipient B. So is the QR. The QR basically holds within it the data that is generating the link when you scan. So when you scan the QR, it'll pop up on your screen a certain link on your screen. When you tap on the link, it takes you to the payment journey where you actually get to pay a business. In this case, assume the business is actually your own. If, for example, you are one who is selling things, say, at a physical premise, but you are constantly moving about to sell your wares, as an example, this particular QR code is something that you'd post up on your counter and people would pay you in that way. And in so doing, the customer has the opportunity to receive the end experience on their mobile phone, giving them the multiple options of payment that can be born from either integrations the bank has with other payment parties or innovative payment solutions that the bank can think of and plaster there. So effectively, and to contextualize further, for those of us who have, say, boutiques and things that they sell online, that same link where you are seeing the generation of the various payment methods is a link that is generated alongside that QR for you to actually post, say, on your social media page or with a description of a particular good that you're selling on social media, and your people or customers, sorry, can actually utilize such capability to pay you directly for a particular item. To take that idea further and to tie it with the automations that were spoken of earlier, if you have the technical prowess or capability to integrate, whenever that payment takes place, you could further automate through the description of what has been paid for to even go ahead and say a certain item has been sold. Many a times, I think I find people on social media going to an old post just to update as sold. So these are some of the things you may mature into and move away from just working with a plain, what can I call it? A plain non-responsive user interface where you're selling your goods to more so now into the realm of e-commerce. And such automation is things that we could definitely help you figure out as you use the QR solution or even the pay by code, which is available through our till solution, or even the links that are generated as part of the QR. But feel free to reach out through the contacts we'll be sharing to get more insights, perhaps even contextualized into how you can run that within your own business. Mohammed, I see your question there. Are there any plans in place to bring back B2B charges? I cannot answer that authoritatively, seeing as we are guided by regulation and whether those pricings are approved, reinstated, or otherwise. But I'm sure you may be asking because of all the conversations that have been happening with the leading telco most recently. They have hinted that there are some charges that may come back. We are yet to see it. There hasn't been formal communication, but we will cross that bridge when we get there. Susan, how secure is a QR? The QR is really just the image you see there. The security behind it lies within the infrastructure that it is hosted on. The website that you must have used to make a payment, if you noticed, the URL itself is actually encapsulated within secure SSL certificates. What those are security mechanisms that provide for secure exchange of information from your device on that particular website you are on, all the way through to the bank. In the scenario whereby you're making that particular transaction, it is secured between yourself, the device you're on, and the bank, the systems that are processing your payment. So highly secure. Is it foolproof? There would always be cases whereby there could be new security flaws that are identified, but for your comfort, with that particular security certificate in place, any issues that are identified and resolved are usually encapsulated within the encryption mechanisms provided for. Same response goes to Emmanuel Nyanji. Yes, the QR is safe in that sense, that the communication between your device and the bank's communication systems and or servers are secured through those mechanisms I've just described. Stanley asks a question, is the automation of the QR code and system integration ready or still work in progress? How long should you wait? Stanley, write to us immediately. We will get you up and running. This, as we've demonstrated today, is a working solution. What we had not done is put it out to market for consumption. We needed justification or qualification whether there's need for it. And I think from the poll run, we do see that there is need for it. So yes, Stanley, you can get access to it. Integration work is also available for you to consume out of DTB's table. So through the contacts to be shared, please reach out. I'm more than happy to facilitate that for you. Great, back to you, Michelle.
Great, Kelvin. We have a question from Frederick Kimani. My concern is withdrawal of funds from the DTB account to M-Pesa. I pay more than 10 staff in a day. However, I believe we answered this, right?
Yes, I did respond.
We answered this. What is the cost of setting up the QR code for my business? Joseph is asking.
Yeah, I think we responded to that as well. And similar response most recently to Stanley Kimaita. So through the contacts you'll be sharing post this particular session, we will be able to engage any and all parties that are interested in either acquiring the integration capabilities we have spoken of facilitating acquisition of such QR codes for their businesses, and or payment links for those who may wish to have use for those. Over and above, facilitating to the other questions that have been asked, how can they get access to the DTB short code pay bill solution, which directly settles into their account. So all of these are actually part and parcel of a larger package suited to the different types of businesses and how they would operate.
Great. So I believe we've answered most of the questions, ladies and gentlemen. As far as Kelvin and Janet have intimated, you can reach them anytime. They will share their contacts for any further questions you might have on payment solutions for your businesses. They're ready to hit the ground running with your businesses. Kevin, am I right?
Oh, we already hit the ground and are running. And I think from the tone of the conversations on the chat, I definitely see there's impetus for us to move even much faster. So we do appreciate those. And yes, our contacts will be shared for that purpose. And there's a much larger team behind us. It's not just Janet and Kelvin. And the contacts we'll share is actually to enable all of us to actually have access to this wider team for purposes of handling your various requests coming in. And I want to believe that we do have the contact information, Michelle, from subscription to this webinar. So we may also be able to send the data, sorry, not data, rather the contents, for example, this presentation, the processes of how you sign up, etc. So that then we also just have all this information available to everyone for those that may not have the opportunity to reach us out directly.
Yes, we will share the presentation and the recording of the presentation to all the members who have attended today. And even
Great.
those who were not able to attend will still get access to this presentation. At the earliest you'll get them is tomorrow. That is on Thursday. That's when by end of day, you all should have this. And with that, we will also share the contacts for the digital and innovations team that will be able to help you with your various questions.
Thank you, Michelle.
So ladies and gentlemen, Kelvin and Janet, if you will allow, we can end the session now. Or would you like to spend a few more minutes?
No, not really. I wanted to just ask if you're going to send through the link for the team for the participants to be able to give us feedback on their businesses, so that we can then put them on the wait list for the SME solution that the bank is building with the feedback that they have provided.
Or for like a Q&A, we will be able to do that. We will be able to do that.
I think I sent that link to you earlier on, so we can send that when we send the rest of the assets of this training.
Yes, that will be possible.
Thank you.
Great.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Any last words from Janet and Kelvin?
Ladies can start, then I'll close.
Yeah, thank you so much for the very engaging participation. Thank you for the questions. Most of the questions have been taken into consideration as we continue to build solutions specifically for you guys. As we may have intimated in the different answers and even in the presentation, as DTB, we are working on a digital solution that is aimed at addressing some of the key SME issues that you have brought forward. Some of them including how do you fund our working capital without collateral, how it is that you can automate our accounting and our payrolls, etc. And we are in the process of creating a solution that is holistic based on some of the feedback that we've gotten before, and this is going to add on to it. And we hope that you would be kind enough to form the waitlist. And basically, when we say the waitlist is, the first group of people who are willing to be, the early adopters when we are ready to roll out the product. So thank you so much. And for those ones who are also interested in the QR code and any other solution that we may have talked through, please, we shall ensure that our presentation has our contacts, and it also has a link to the feedback for the wait list for the product. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Janet. Couldn't have said it any better. Thank you, Michelle and team for organizing this. Most likely to walk the talk, we'll hopefully want to come back here again and actually put to the test these various solutions that we'll offer back to the endearing business community that we've been engaging with today, then see how we could then possibly inch forward to solve any other problems that we may not have thought of or even covered here today. So very happy to engage further, and we'll definitely be reaching out to see how we can acquire most of the early adopters that we have actually interacted with here today. Asanteni sana, and have yourselves a fruitful day ahead.
Great, thank you very much, Kelvin and Janet. We really do appreciate. I know this was a bonus session, and the participants were actually waiting for this. When we last had our last session, module 8, everyone was eagerly waiting for this session, and I thank you for coming through. I thank the participants. Ladies and gentlemen, I can see a lot of you asking for certificates. We will issue certificates at the earliest next week. You will get them on your email addresses, and thank you for coming through, and I hope to see you guys working with Janet and Kelvin on your various businesses, and wishing you guys a prosperous business engagements. Yeah, thank you so much, and have a good afternoon, and we will see you next time when we are holding our financial literacy. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, bye.
Thank you.
Bye.